Hello, good evening. You are watching RTD's English News Edition, our major stories for tonight are. At the Presidential Palace, the head of state has received this morning the American Secretary of State, Deputy Mr. Blinken. And concerning the migration crisis, thousands of Syrians are stranded in a desperate situation on Turkish border.
Those were the top stories. Thanks for joining us. The head of state, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, has received this morning the American Assistant State Secretary to the Foreign Affairs, Antony Blinken. At the head of a large delegation, the latter is in a working visit of 48 hours in Djibouti. This meeting has been focused on the strengthening of the bilateral relations in all the fields between the two countries. This visit of Mr. Blinken comes in a time where the two countries will hold their biannual discussions forum initiated in 2014 by the two heads of state, Ismail Omar Guelleh and Barack Obama. The Assistant State Secretary to the Foreign Affairs has been introduced to the President by the government spokesman, Mahmoud Ali Yusuf. During his stay, Mr. Blinken will visit the American forces installed in the Camp Lemonnier. He will also hold discussions with the representative of international organizations living in Djibouti. He has also in his schedule to visit the Merkazi camp of refugees in the Obok region in order to inquire about the situation of the Yemeni refugees who have fled the conflict in their country. The objective is also to see the impact of the regional migration.
Très bonne réunion justement avec le président. Avant cette réunion.
And at the end of the encounter, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Mohammed Ali Yusuf, has in an interview said that this kind of meeting allows the consolidation of the relation between the United States of America and the Republic of Djibouti. We are today, he said, two partners who are at the forefront of the fight against terrorism, two partners that are trying to bring more stability and security in this region. I think, he said, has continued the minister, it's very essential that the Republic of Djibouti, who has its force present in Somalia as well, who house foreign forces in Djibouti like the United States of America and many other internationals, needs to have the prominent support and advice of our American friends who have expertise in this important domain. He then added that the United States of America will assist Djibouti in its development process by giving training, but also bring youth and creating jobs opportunities.
Also at the Presidential Palace, the President of the Republic, Ismail Omar Guelleh, has received this morning the leader of the American company Black Renault, Mr. Brett Haylet. The meeting has been held in the presence of the Energy Minister, the Ambassador of Djibouti in Washington, Mr. Douale, and the Ambassador of the United States in Djibouti, Tom Kelly. This meeting helped to make the point on the project of the construction of a gas pipeline between Djibouti and Ethiopia.
Black Rhino's investment into infrastructure and energy, into the Djibouti Master Plan, to ensure that the infrastructure to build a pipeline into Ethiopia fits within the greater program of refineries and other projects that the President has put forward in the master plan. Our group's an American investment firm interested in Djibouti in both the power sector and the infrastructure sector, and are putting proposals forward for investments into both fuel storage, fuel transportation, and power.
The company Black Renault is specialized in the realization of pipeline that will route the energy resources, and that is either kerosene or petroleum from the Ethiopia to Djibouti. The pipeline will route the Ethiopian gas up to the Djiboutian rating on a distance of approximately 550 kilometers. The project will be completed by the end of 2018 for a cost of $1.55 billion.
And in an interview, the Energy Minister Yaqub Mahamoud says in his side that this delegation is an American company, so-called Black Renault, and likely we are on the sidelines of the second ministerial meeting of the Djibouti USA Forum, co-chaired by the Foreign Affairs Minister and the American Secretary of State Deputy. This forum focused on two main issues, which are the economic and security issues. And today, he said the economic issue was at the center of discussion between our two parties. As you may know, many Americans would like to invest here in Djibouti, which is a strategic place, he said, that many countries in the world would like to invest. This company is a company responsible for the construction of a gas pipeline between Djibouti and Ethiopia. They had an encounter today, he said, with the head of state, Ismail Omar Guelleh, in order to give more explanation on the work progress on this huge project, and soon this pipeline, he said, will be finalized.
The British athlete Mohamed Farah, world champion of 5,000 and 10,000 meter native from Somalia, was received today by the head of state. The president has congratulated Mo Farah for his great performance and titles. Mo Farah is not in his first visit in Djibouti, that he considers to be as his second homeland. The international athlete is in the process of turning a documentary movie tracing his life and his career. Many circumstances will be touring here in Djibouti. Mo Farah is born in Djibouti, in Somaliland, and has spent part of his adolescence in Djibouti. Come at the age of 6 years in Djibouti, he left his 8 years later to integrate a center of sport and study in England. Let's not forget that Mo Farah will attend soon as the guest of honor at the athletics meeting, which will take place of the International Half Marathon of Djibouti. Mo Farah was accompanied during this encounter with the head of state by the president of the Djibouti Athletics Federation, Mr. Mohamed Ahmed Sheiko.
In a reaction, the coach Mohamed Jama Aden said that today is a big day, and we had an encounter with the President of the Republic, who's enhancing the national sport level by giving his unwavering and tireless effort to support the new Djiboutian talent. Djibouti is being well known for its athletes like the champions Ayana Suleiman, Hizbashir Muhyiddin, and many others, he said, who regularly take an active part to the Olympic Games, which is an international competition. The latter has urged the youth to take advantage from the champions' experience. Mo Farah, he said, will be the guest of honor at the athletics meeting, which will take place in Djibouti at the end of March. He said, I was delighted to be among my own people in Djibouti and warmly thanked the head of state for his for this hearing and this honor. And for his part, the international British Olympic champion Mo Farah seized the opportunity to thank the head of state for his warm welcome. He did not fail to remind that the President of the Republic is the first support of the Djiboutian youth athletes. He welcomed this initiative and assured his participation in the first edition. We want to realize a lot of progress in the athletics issue here in Djibouti, he said. The international British Olympic champion Mo Farah said that it's a great day where we are gathering to prepare the international first meeting in East Africa, which is taking place in Djibouti on the next March. He urged finally the Djiboutian people to participate massively in this international meeting.
As for the president of the Djiboutian Federation, Athletics Mohamed Ahmed Sheiko, said he was very pleased to host a new times for Mo Farah in the country. First of its kind in the east of Africa, the president of Djibouti, the Republic of Djibouti Athletics Federation, Mr. Mohamed Ahmed Sheiko, has indicated during an interview that the organization of this meeting is part of innovative program that his committee had promised at the time of their election at the head of this federation.
The second ministerial meeting of the Forum Djibouti USA was held this morning at the Kempinski Palace Hotel. This meeting is the result of the first bilateral meeting, which was held in Washington in February 2015. The launch of this forum had been decided at the meeting between the President Obama and President Guelleh in May 2013. This forum was co-chaired by the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Mohamed Ali Yusuf, and the Secretary of State, Deputy of the United States, Mr. Anthony Blinken. The two parties focused on several important issues, including cooperation in the areas of security, of economic development, the increase in trade, the energy, and the employment and regional issues. The strategic partnership that exists between the United States of America and Djibouti, with the objective of consolidating peace and security in the regions, was at the center of discussion today. This strategic partnership, which is illustrated in the presence of the American forces in Djibouti, also aimed to strengthen the relation of economic cooperation between the two countries through the investment opportunities creation. The two parties have then focused on other regional issues, including ways and means to strengthen their collaboration in the fight against terrorism in order to maintain stability in the Horn of Africa and in the world. At the Djiboutian side, there was present the ministers of the energy, the defense minister, the minister of employment, the minister for the advancement of women, and the economy minister. Let's not forget the presence of the United States ambassador in Djibouti as well, many other prominent personalities. At the end of this forum, the two parties have signed an agreement on the launch of the first international school of the English language with an American curriculum.
Still in the national news, on the fight against AIDS, tuberculosis and malaria, the Republic of Djibouti and the World Fund has just came up with a new step in the history of their partnership by signing 2 new grant agreements this morning at the People's Palace for an amount of $16,400,000 for a period of 2 years. The signing ceremony of these agreements has been organized by the Multi-Sectoral and Inter-Partnership Coordination Committee known as CCMA and by the Executive Secretary of the Inter-Sectoral Technical Committee in the fight against HIV/AIDS, malaria and tuberculosis. It took place under the auspices of the Minister of Health, Dr. Qasim Saeed Ousmane. These funds destined for the fight against these diseases will help with the strengthening of the health system. Let's not forget that this does not only concern the Health Ministry, but also the civil society, who will also take part on the implementation of activities related to the prevention and awareness. These agreements are part of the huge national strategic orientation when it comes to the fight against AIDS, tuberculosis, and malaria. They are also aiming to reduce the impact of these 3 diseases on the population through the activities and treatments. The event has gathered the Minister of Health, Dr. Qasim Saeed Ousmane, the Director of CCMI, Mohammed Saad, the Resident Representative of the Bunyod, Mrs. Valerie Cliff, the Manager of the Monetary Fund for Djibouti, as well as the representative of the UN agencies in Djibouti.
In her intervention, the resident representative of the PNUD, Valerie Cliff, has declared that the efforts realized by the Ministry of Health with the support of the technical and financial partnership during long negotiation are remarkable regarding the result obtained. The UNDP is very delighted to help them with this process and to be able to continue to support the Ministry of Health and the CCMI in carrying out this new financial assistance. This agreement, she said, will be a great way to reduce the impact of these 3 diseases on the Djiboutian population by 2017 through the reinforcement and acceleration of prevention activities, treatment, as well the social mobilization of communities, especially the most vulnerable populations such as the women, children and nomads. As for Mr. Silwa Murray of the World Fund has indicated that this grant agreement accounted to a total of $16.4 million, and these grants will aim, she said, to prevent and treat HIV, AIDS, tuberculosis and malaria in Djibouti. She has for this occasion thanked all who worked on the outcome of this grant agreement. The denial were very long, but we are here today, she said, and ready to begin to implement these actions.
The Minister of Health has in his speech said that these 2 grants will allow Djibouti to achieve a part of the Millennium Goals in the development that the country has set, as well as certain issues that were not covered by any intervention will be in these grants, such as prevention against malaria, taking charge of the tuberculosis or aspects of AIDS prevention in the most at-risk groups. Moreover, it cannot be said that the judgment of grants from the Global Fund has not had an impact on the programs. However, I would like to clarify that despite difficult economic conjunctures and so the suspension of grants were the intervention of the President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Mergeli, has enabled the smooth running of the programs. As well, the beneficiaries have never interrupted their treatments. The laboratories have been correctly supplied with reagents and consumables. Today, has added the minister, the country is committed to contribute 20% of the budget allocated in the achievement of these 2 projects.
Still on the national news, a workshop for the consolidation of peace in Africa has been opened today at the headquarters of IGAD. This workshop was organized by the Network for the Consolidation of Peace in Africa in collaboration with the Forum of the Horn of Africa Intellectuals, known as the HHF, and the Council of Social Science and Research, the first of its kind. This meeting will last for 2 days and also aims to promote the research. The objective is to support the African independent research, including countries affected by a conflict and the neighboring region of the African continent, as well to make known Africa in the world policy communities. It's also to help with the studies and analysis to contribute to the formulation of policies of regional integration based on peace and to build the capacity leading to a new culture of peace. This workshop will promote the visibility of consolidation knowledge for the African peace among the world centers and regional scientific analysis, as well as practical action to make it accessible to the key decision makers within the United Nations and other multilateral institutions, regional and national policy development. This workshop has gathered intellectuals from the countries of the Horn of Africa, in particular Ethiopia, Uganda, Sudan and Djibouti. Let's not forget that the Forum of Intellectuals of the Horn of Africa was started in 2007 in Djibouti.
Today, the second forum of discussions and concentrations on the company's responsibility took place at the Palace of the People. This workshop was chaired by the Secretary General of the Urbanism Ministry, Dina Abdallah Omar, and the technical advisor of the Ministry of Environment, Mr. Odom Abdou, the coordinator of the project, Mr. Muhammad Ahmed Jibril, as well as a different representative of the business associations of NGOs, as well as partners were present. The objective of this workshop is to improve the coastal areas in order to preserve the environment, as well as educate and train companies and business partners operating in the coastal zone of Djibouti. Let's recall that this organization demonstrates the willingness of the government.
The director of DZ, Idris Ali Sultan, has granted this morning an interview in which he says the evolution of prices has the consumption in the course of the year 2015. Idris Ali Sultan wanted to inform the population on the price of basic needs product, and he also indicated that inflation is mastery at a reasonable level. Let's take a listen.
Les prix, par exemple, des produits alimentaires ont augmenté.
The increase of prices registered in 2015 is essentially pulled by the price product health, food product, beverage and tobacco products and articles of clothing and footwear. The price of food products have increased by an average of 3.3% in 2015 compared to the level of the 2014 year. This increase is supported by an increase in price of salt, spices, sauce and meat prices, which have now an average an increase of 7.8% and 2.4% compared to 2014. It must also be noted that in 2015 the price of tobacco has increased an average of 6.1%. The price of the clothing and footwear articles have increased by 2.4%, and those of the health services have increased by 4.6%. In addition to this, it's important to emphasize that the various increases recorded are mitigated by the decline in price fuels. The decline in the price of petroleum products has drawn to the price decline of housing, water, electricity, gas, and other fuel and transport, who have registered respectively decreased by 1.6% and 2.7% in average in 2015 year, while they had saved from rise in average of 2.4% and 0.7% respectively. These declines result without doubt from an overall decline in price of fuels, including the diesel fuel and kerosene, going from 215 Djibouti francs to 175 Djibouti francs for the diesel fuel, that is 220 Djibouti francs for the kerosene. The low level of influence registered during the year 2015 translate the actions undertaken by the government for the mastery of price, including the retention of the subsidy for food product consumed, the intensification of the brigade checks in price for the product subsidized, and the decline in the price of petroleum product. This measurement, coupled with tax measurement of the Finance Act 2016, including the removal of the tax on the solidarity of 10% of the pension and the taux of advancement for the employees of the state, will without doubt contribute to the significant improvement of the purchasing power.
In this crucial time in the school year, meetings between parents and educational teams are a privileged moment in the life of school. It is in this context that the General Direction of the Center for Training of Fundamental Education Teachers has organized today meetings between the parents of students and the school management departments. It has been an opportunity for the director of the school to discuss with the parents on the major challenges in the life of the school. On the menu of the exchanges, the quality of educational instructions, but also the school environment and especially the collaboration between the parents and educational teams are to ensure the public school and essential performance. At the end of the discussions, the parents of students and the school principals said they were satisfied with these important meetings, which must give rhythm to the life of the school. Same meetings have also taken place at the Lycée Industrial and Commercial. Note that League High School welcomes more than 1,580 students divided between 29 classes in the industrial sector and 17 others in the commercial sector. The principal of the high school, Mr. Abdi Jama, has recalled that the students received 2 semi-annual bulletins covering the periods from September to January and February to the month of May.
Let's go to Sudan now. Where the art is a means that allows nations to define their cultural diversities, and Sudan is a part of the rich countries thanks to their artistic and cultural creativity. To be amazed of this culture, let's take a look to this report.
The Republic of Sudan, thanks to its vast area which extends from the south of Egypt and up to the tropic in the countries of Central Africa, is characterized for its artistic and cultural diversity. In fact, the art occupies an important and major role in the life of Sudanese citizens and significantly affects the majority of the population. And this is reflected by the significant efforts made by the state, who considers the art a factor of development but also a means to retain its national identity. The Sudanese song expresses the importance it occupies in the customs, as well as in the reconciliation and the strengthening of the ties between the Sudanese communities. Sudanese culture plays an essential role in the organization of wedding festivities, a culture which is similar to the Djiboutian culture. The Unified Youth of Djibouti has organized this morning at the Palace of the People a ceremony for the establishment of the Youth Association Covenant. The Youth Association, but also the leaders of the different neighborhoods, have been in attendance. The Unified Youth of Djibouti is composed of several youth organizations, very dynamic, which are very involved in the socio-economic development of Djibouti. The objective of the association covenant is to lay the foundation of a coordination between youth associations for the purpose of collectively bring a response of youth to the issues concerning them, to participate in the effort President Gilles in terms of the promotion of peace, the strengthening of national unity and stability.
With the regional news now, Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA, is highly committed to promoting and branding Ethiopia's leather and leather products to both Japanese and global market, affirmed Japanese ambassador to Ethiopia, Mr. Suzuki. Ambassador Suzuki's statement came following a meeting between a JICA delegation and Ethiopia's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Dr. Tedros Adhanom, in Addis Ababa on Friday. On the occasion, the ambassador listed locally manufactured leather products such as smartphone covers, shoes and bags, which are entering the global market through facilitation by JICA, following the consultation with the JICA delegation. Foreign Minister Tedros Adhanom appreciated JICA efforts in introducing, promoting, and branding Ethiopia's leather and leather commodities to Japanese and global market. JICA has been working in close collaboration with 8 companies through facilitations for knowledge transfer and assisting efforts of maintaining quality standards, the minister added. JICA has been extending technical assistance in agriculture, rural and infrastructure development, as well in education, has concluded Dr. Adhanom.
Still in the international news, Turkish police have raided 3 factories producing unlicensed and in-fault dignities. According to local media reports, almost 50 deemed to be dangerous were seized in the western province of Izmir. Lignites are the boats of choice for traffickers and migrants trying to get to Greece. Turkish police have also been cracking down on defective life jackets in recent months, launching operations in Istanbul and elsewhere. More than 1 million refugees and migrants arrived by land and sea in the EU last year, many of them crossing from Turkey to Greece. A further 3,600 died or went missing. Winter conditions are not deterring all. Hundreds more people have already lost their lives so far this year.
Still in Turkey and related to the migration crisis, thousands of Syrians stranded in a desperate situation on a Turkish border. Aid agencies awareness of the desperate situation as tens of thousands of Syrians fleeing as the Russian-backed government offensive in Aleppo head to the Turkish border explains.
Turkey has sworn to has yet to open on Kipinor, leaving thousands stranded. Russian-backed Syrian government forces say that they are closing in on Aleppo city and have been severed the main supply line used by the country's mainstream rebels. Rebel-held parts of the city now face the prospect of the government siege. The tactic has previously had a disastrous effect on former rebel strongholds. The European Union is pressing Ankara to help curb the biggest flow of migrants the bloc has seen since the Second World War. However, it said Turkey must keep its border open to refugees. German Chancellor Angela Merkel is holding talks in the Turkish capital on Monday to push for tighter checks at the frontier. The 28-member bloc has pledged €3 billion of aid in return for help in stemming the influx. Turkey currently hosts the biggest number of Syrian refugees, some 2.27 million. For now, the border is open for emergency situations.
In central Pyongyang, the North Korean capital, the news of the successful space shot was greeted with public pride and enthusiasm. Giant screens showed special programs complete with patriotic songs, space's music to hail the achievement. I don't know how to say and how I felt when I heard the news that the launch of the Pride Star. Let's listen for more details.
In central Pyongyang, the North Korean capital, the news of the successful space shot was greeted with public pride and enthusiasm. Giant screens showed special programs complete with patriotic songs and space music to hail the achievement. I don't know how to say how happy I felt when I heard the news that the launch of the Bright Star satellite was successful. It made me really feel that we are such a powerful country, said one young man. A young man agreed with her. I felt very proud to be a university student of a country that excels in science and technology, which can launch an air satellite with its own technology. I will study harder to contribute to the development of our country with cutting-edge technology, he said. In South Korea, however, there was a very different reaction. Few saw it a peaceful scientific progress that represents no threat. I think we need to unite with the international community so that North Korea does no nuclear tests and missile launch. I think we need more sanctions.
This is it for tonight's news. Thanks for following us on RTD and have a wonderful evening.